Hi everyone, Michael from Bullion Now, bullionnow.com.au. So welcome to another of our How to Invest in Gold series. Today we're going to look at, does brand matter? Now, brands cover all sorts of spectrums, whether you're buying precious metals, handbags, sneakers, cars, everyone knows what a brand name is. When you go down to your local pharmacy or that type of thing and present your script across the counter, quite often they'll say to you, do you want brand name? Do you want Pfizer? Do you want something along those sort of lines? Or do you want the generic, the house brand, the one that's just that little bit cheaper, but the same purity of drug, chemical, whatever you're looking at that time? It's exactly the same in the bullion sphere. So we have brand names, as I've got here. I've got Perth Mint sitting here, but you could be dealing in PAMP, you could be dealing in Horaeus. They're the brand names around the world that are all recognised. They're LBMA registered, and whether I walk into a bullion dealer in Germany or Beijing or Melbourne or Johannesburg, they all recognise what they are. They're all around the world. Then we have the generics. So we have, quite often they're a locally produced product, or even just produced only in that country and recognised in that country. It doesn't mean that they are a lower quality. It just means that they're probably that little bit cheaper to produce, they're a little bit cheaper to import or to transport around, and they may have them, or they may have a selection of them. You can see here I've got a couple of different varieties across the table here. Alrighty, so why would I look at a brand name? The downside of the brand name is obviously the price, the same as if I'm buying handbags. If you buy a brand name, as a rule, you're going to pay more. More for the marketing, more for the name, more for the advertising. And that's all well and good. Why would I do it? There's a couple of really good times where you would do it. One of them is if you were taking it overseas. If you're going, for example, like I was at the start of 2020, I was going over to Germany prior to that thing that we can't mention. I took a couple of the Perth Mints with me and a couple of our locally produced bars, just to kind of test the system overseas. When I presented the Perth Mints, no worries, we recognise them. Here's your euros, see you later. When I produced what we termed locally produced or generics, they looked at them a bit suspiciously. A couple of them tested them, and just as a side issue, and we'll link it above here, if your bullion dealer has not got the capability of an XRF to test the product, I would suggest changing bullion dealers, and you'll see why in that video. But they either tested them, there was a bit of back and forth, a bit of an issue. In fact, one of the dealers refused to take the generic. And it was no big deal. I moved on to another dealer and they bought it, but it was just that extra level of hassle. So if you are going overseas, I strongly suggest considering paying that little bit extra and going with a brand name. The other time where you might look at brand name is that sleep at night factor. So if you're a bit of a nervous Nelly, or you just want to be sure that this is exactly what I think it is, and it's got the name, and it doesn't matter where I take it, at the end of the day, it's probably only going to be an extra $10, $15, $20 more than the generic brand. So for an example, an ounce of gold, on a $2,500 to $3,000 Australian transaction in the start of 2021, an extra $15 honestly isn't much at all for that extra insurance. It's spot price movement in a day. So, why not pay it? The other time it may be good to go either brand name or generic is when you're looking for diversification. Now, we talk about diversifying across sizes. We talk about diversifying with your storage. We talk about diversification with metals. Within metals, you might go gold, silver, platinum type of thing. There's also diversification across brands. So if you've got all generics and you happen to want to unload some, and you're doing it locally, you're doing it, your local bullion dealer's a bit too far away and it's more convenient to do a deal with your neighbour over the back fence and that type of thing, he may say to you, look, I only recognise PAMP, or I only recognise Perth Mint. I'm only willing to buy those brands. So if you've bought all generic, you're a little bit out of luck. So it's not a bad idea to mix it up at that point. If you've got all brand names though, he may say to you, look, I don't want to pay that bit extra for the brand name. I don't care what's stamped on the front, I'll take anything. Well, in that case, you may want to have diversified into something more generic. So if you've got the capital and the wherewithal to do it, don't be frightened of taking a few of each side of the fence. All right, the other time where you'd really look at the generics is where you don't care what the brand is. You don't care, so long as the bullion dealer can prove its purity. You obviously still want what we term 4 nines, whether it be gold or silver, or the purity of it, that it's pure. And if your intent at the end of the day is to sell back to that bullion dealer or another bullion dealer in the area, we don't care what brand is stamped on the front. We test it with an XRF, we weigh it, and then we pay it out on weight. If a bullion dealer says to you, I'm going to pay you less because this is not our house brand, this is not our brand, pick up your gold and your silver, walk straight out the door and go to a reputable bullion dealer, because that's absolute rubbish. Gold is gold is gold, silver is silver is silver. We don't care as dealers. If somebody bought in a brand that I didn't like, I'd dispatch it straight off to a refinery, I'd get it melted, re-stamped, sent back, and away I go again. I don't care. So if you're just bringing it into a dealer, that's your exit plan, you don't care, why pay the extra $10, $15, $20 an ounce, or $10, $15, $20 a kilo in silver? Keep the money in your pocket, buy yourself a coffee on the way home, or buy yourself an extra bit extra metal as you can. All right, just to summarize, brand names. We look at, if you're traveling overseas, I definitely consider a brand name. For diversification reasons and that sleep at night reason. Why would I look at generic? It's still the same gold or silver, and if you're in doubt, get your bullion dealer to prove it to you with their XRF. It's still the same product, it weighs the same, it's all good. It gives you diversification across brands if you need that, and it also gives you that cheaper stuff that you can sell straight back to your dealer and get a little bit more bang for your buck. All right, that's it for now. Stay tuned to this channel because we're going to do more educational videos. Like, share, subscribe, all those good things, and we'll talk again soon. See ya.